Good afternoon, students, or Jai Hind. Today, we are going to share our study about the understanding the unknown past. Understand? As in our, and this is the last topic of your first book. Theme first of the part one is going to be ended in this class. Understand? So this is the last topic to be discussed with you, and entire the books had been the finished right now. Or so we are going to see here understanding the unknown past. So now I have already mentioned while I was teaching you about the astupa of astupa at the Sanchi. So then during that I had mentioned that how the art historians they had made their efforts to depict efforts to resemble and to match with the sculptures or a statue which had been depicted depicted on the panels depicted on the panels depicted on the panels how they had tried to make the resemblance with the our popular text with the uh, whether they had tried and since the Sanchi Stupa was basically associated with the Buddhism, that's why they now went they now gone for a study the Buddhist text or now the in the Vesantar Jatak, we have seen that most of the stories were now resembled from the Vesantar Jataks, and the moreover we see that we have seen that some of the statue and some of the icons and which had been depicted at the gate at the grand gate of the Sanchi Stupa. Understand? So now those were associated with the popular stories and the popular stories and popular practices which was which were being practiced out of the Buddhist order and out of the Buddhist thoughts and out of the Buddhist sects. Understand? So now we can see that we see that how this popular. So similarly, we are going to study here about the understanding the unknown past. So now understanding the unknown past means what? What the things we are the now understanding it means that those which had been the themes which had been the written or described in our text in our texts in our whether the Hindu text or the Buddhist text those still stories are just are resembled with the these panels depicted on these panels. So this process is the process of art historians to find out the facts or to mean out to make out the meanings and themes of the pictures. Understand? And the expression of these pictures or the meaning or meanings of this picture or the sculptures. So we have the this is the trend of the art historians of our country or the for of scholars belong to the abroad. Understand? So now here we are also going. This is the traditions. The scholars also we are going to hear the Puranic some of the stories going to resemble with the Puranic or the Puranas or our Hindu scriptures. We are going to. And the first of all, we have to be see is now unfamiliar on the basis of the familiar here. Known to unknown. Known to unknown. Yeah, what with to what to what we from what we are the familiar understand so we are going to on that basis we are going to understand the unfamiliars understand so this is the process or this is the This is the problem and process of the historians. This is the problem by in which the historians now or again this is the big problem for the historians, but they try their best to find out the facts in the history and the in of the sculptors. As an example, we can say when in 19th century European scholars now saw European scholars now saw the sculptures of gods and goddesses. Europeans now large number of European many European scholars they were attracted to study the Indians culture or the Indian art and culture. That's why they took the much interest in the finding out the and to discover the our heritage. Understand? So now the Europeans came here. So what they saw, they now they saw in sculptures of many god and goddesses here lying and with the multiple arms and whatever the our god we know very well our god and goddesses with the multiple arms or multi-headed multiple arms and with the combination of humans and animals form somewhere they found what the sculpture of the combination of a human and the combination of human and combination of the animals. This kind of the statue they found and icons they found everywhere, and they seem to them the grotesque as they were not familiar with their backgrounds and the significance. They now they found this a very peculiar because they were not they had no background of understanding such kind of the god and goddesses whose have the multi heads multi hands and the lavishly they were the decorated like that. The Europeans had not understood if, in the beginning they could not understand this because they were from the different backgrounds and the different beliefs and different background. So it was very difficult for them to how to understand the real sense of that. The early European scholars compared the Indian sculpture with that of the ancient Greek sculptures. Now we know that now in entire Europe was influenced by the Greek culture. Understand? Greek culture, we know that it is the called as the cradle of the European civilization. So now they went in the antiquity of the Greek culture to find out the sense of from the Indian architectures and from the Indian sculptures. They wanted to bring the resemble, but it was not possible for them. Okay, how? And the ancient Greek, because they were familiar with the Greek culture. So they tried to make the resemblance, to make the similarities make the similarity. Moreover, because they were familiar with it, they concluded that early Indian sculptures was inferior to that of the Greek sculpture. So we know that Europeans were always they were driven by the superiority complex. Always this was the or arrogant racial feelings they had. Understand? So now or in every sense they now suppose themselves as the superior to the and now saw the Asians culture as the subcultures and subhuman beings. This was they were now governed by this notion, the Europeans. So they saw that the Indian's culture is the now is inferior to the Europeans' culture, and because as a result, what happened? The Indian culture and inferior to that of the Greek culture. However, the discovery or the images of Buddha, but they became very startled and now when they uh, discovered the statue of the Gautam Buddha, a statue of the Gautam Buddha in the many of the images Buddha and Bodhisattva evidently based on the Greek models. Now they discovered many of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas statue, and those were depicted and carved out in the Greek cultures on the Hellenic style they found in that. So that this Greek model boosted them with a great excitement as they saw that many of the Buddha's sculpture, and particularly in the Gandhar, in Takshila and the Peshawar, those areas was known as the Gandhar. The where they found the Gautam Buddha's statue. So now on that basis, they they said, and they became very excited to make the more study and discover more from that. So here, so this now particular where it is the well mentioning images were found particularly city Taxila and Peshawar, and moreover the Indo-Greek rulers had, which we know that why this that area Gandhar area Gandhar regions was influenced by the Greek culture or the Hellenic culture. It was quite clear that after the invasion of the Alexander the Great, the where and that part came under the control of the Alexanders. So when the Alexander now backed, but even then, for a long time, those areas had been under the control of their Kshatrap. The Alexander's Chhatrap means the Alexander's governor established their independent states there in the Gandhar. As a result, and they settled down a trade and a trade relations established with the Greeks and the Mesopotamians and the and as well as trade relations as well as the cultural relations or the cultural assimilations began. So it was the quite clear that this area now received and experienced the Greek cultures here, and the statue began to be the form in the and depicted in the Greek art. So the Europeans, as they now discovered the Buddha statue in the Greek, like the influence of that the Buddha statue was in a curly hair. In the curly hairs was they had in the curly mustache. Understand? Calm face. These were the had been taken from the their gods Apollo. Greek god Apollo. These are the features of the Greek god Apollo. The curly hairs and like that. So they found that they found the Greek traits or the features in the Buddhist Buddha's statue. Understand? So further ruler established in the, therefore there was much influence of Greek sculpture on these images. So the images were constructed or made of the Gautam Buddhas. So, upon that, they had the very much impact. Greek impact was on that on those images. Or European scholars were familiar with Greek traditions, or Europeans were familiar with the Greek traditions. So they found very easy to compare the Gautam Buddha, or they later on they appreciated extremely and just appreciated to the and images to be the best example of the early Indian art. And the term is a statue of Gautam Buddha, and they said and remarked at the best as the best examples of the early Indian art. Now the Europeans. So we see that a lots of we see here we observe that how Europeans were the much influenced or the much impressed by these or our culture was much influenced by the Greek culture. So from unknown to known, I have already mentioned that in Harappa culture, what happened? What happened? What we know, understand? On that basis, we are finding and finding out the meaning of those fragments. meaning or the use of those fragments, what we are using. So the known to unknown, this is so the whatever they were knowing, so they went on the unknown. They discovered and found out the unknown, the meaning of the unknown. Similarly, here a problem that the matching the text and the image. Here in the Hindu culture, we find that now text and text and image. How to how to bring the similarity and how to make the form the association between the images carved out, images formed or made with the text, with the text of a Hindu text or the Sanskrit text. How to make the resemblance? This is the problem with the Indians also. Other the scholars, often the scholars say now face a problem, not a matching the text or image. A sculpture along the huge rocks surface. For example, लिया जाए, we should take the example from that. Mahabalipuram, understand, is a significant example in your views. It is a significant example of it. Certainly, this a lively depiction has a relations with a story, or this uh, okay, this lively depiction has the story where Mahabalipuram, a rock surface, it has the great association with our text or the stories. However, even after searching through the Purana to identify it, accordingly Puran, according to that, it was the already identified. But historians don't agree on this issue. Okay, Balipunam, those statue can where the studied and the similarities was found by the text, by the Hindu text. But even then, this became the great problem for the historians. They were not just anonymous. They differed the views about that. And some of the historians now, according to some historians, that it depicts the descents of the river Ganga from heaven. Now here, the Ganga is now flowing down a flowing down in the cleft. In there is a cleft. There is a cleft, and through that cleft, Ganga is flowing down. Understand? Or descending from there. And it is supposed that the Ganga is descending from the heaven to the ground. And and the story has been narrated from the heaven. Ganga is now from the heaven. The story has been narrated in the Purana and the epics, or this story has been narrated in the Purana and the epics. Ganga is now between the two sides. In between, there is a cleft, and through that cleft, the flowing Ganga is flowing down, running down towards the ground, and sees the descending from the heavens to the earth. This has been now depicted by the by scholars, and they assume that the natural clefts throughout the center of the rock surface perhaps symbolizes the descents of the river. This is the descent of the rivers. This symbolizes the descents of the river. But here, the other scholars don't agree with this viewpoint at all. Other don't agree. Other group of the scholars, they don't agree with this viewpoint. And what they understand, so while quoting the Mahabharata, emphasize that they quote the stories from the Mahabharata. those who don't agree with agree with the earlier agree with those scholars who believe that through that cliffs Ganga is now flowing down and Ganga is running down from heavens to the earth. They now against them. The one group of the scholars say that this depiction is from the Mahabharata. This story is from the Mahabharata. So what the story they represent that now represent that they quoting the Mahabharata emphasize that it depicts the Arjun. They said that Arjun, they depict the Arjun. A ascetic has been the shown there, and some of the prayer he's doing and meditation he's doing. In a austerity, one has been the and the great penance. Some ascetic, one ascetic is now meditating, wishing something from the God. And who is that person? Now, according to the scholars, Arjun doing penance in order to acquire the divine arms. Arjun wanted divine arms to fight in the Mahabharata, in the battle. So Arjun is now financing austerity there, and he is wishing and doing the meditation for the that. And they argue that it is the why that the artist had depicted the figure of an ascetic in the center of the sculpture. So the second one group believe that the ascetic is the Arjun, and that is why the had depicted depicted this ascetic as Arjun. They recognize that ascetic as a Arjun who is the wishing for the weapons, divine weapons against the his Kauravas, against the Kauravas. And now we have to be the sea. We have gone through the students here. We are thus fair to conclude that period under the consideration 600 BC to the 600 AD, a significant cultural growth happened, and now students, a growth happened, or we now finished the entire four chapters of the first book. This is the end of the story. Understand? So now we have some time to explain. One thing is that in the next class, I shall start the medieval history. The first day to teach the medieval history, I would like to go the dynastical history and dynastical order, a dynastical order of the sultans who ruled over the India. Understand? Their dynastical order who ruled. Okay, that will be the a brief teaching I will give, that not go in the details about the sultans. Briefly I will go through that, and then after the mughals order I will explain further, and then after we shall start. Since you have to be the focus completely on the mughal society, Mughal society, Mughal revenue system, or the Mughal culture. We have to. But before going to start the Mughal, we must have to be the keep the order of the history. Sultanate, then after comes the Mughal. So we have to be a brief knowledge, or as a being as a student of history, we you should have the a brief knowledge and the order of the Sultan. Then after I will join it with the Mughals. First Sultanate, then after the Mughals, and the Mughal culture and the Mughal history we shall study after that. Students, okay, so that will be the and each and every line, each and every word is the important for you. And some question just I shall discuss here before you. A few minutes I will give some questions. I will just ask with you, and that is the I suppose that You will just see. First questions I am going to put you. Which European countries sought Shah Jahan Begums? From this chapter, I am putting the question. Few questions I will discuss with you because the chapter is over. I have some time still to remain. 5 minutes, so I will discuss some questions. Now, the which European countries sought Shah Jahan Begum's permission to take away the Eastern Gate? I am giving you the option. You will tell the right option. British and Dutch, Portuguese and French, French and German, British and French. Which answer is correct? Anyone? Second question. John Marshall dedicated his important volumes on Sanchi to whom? Shah Jahan Begum, Noor Jahan Begum, Sultan Jahan Begum, Mumtaz Jahan Begum. Next, match the correctly. First, Zarathustra, Zarathustra, the religion belong to which country? China, Greece, India, Iran. Second, Konji, which country? Third, Mahavira and Gautam, you know very well. Socrates. Acha, another question I am going to put you students. Agar if you are the before me, before listening, you are listening, then I will put a few questions. The Rig Veda consists of hymns in praise of a variety of deities, especially first option is here Agni, Indra, and Soma. Indra, Usha, and Aditi. Varuna, Rudra, and Marut. Agni, Soma, and Varun. Next question I am going to put before you. The Suya, the Rajasuya and Aswamedha sacrifices were performed by chiefs and kings who depended on Brahman's priest to conduct the further. What the here is the fill in the blanks. Next, which one of the following was not concerned of Upanishadic thinkers? Which I am just putting before you the four statement. One statement is not concerned to the concern of Upanishadic thinkers. First, expressing the nature of the ultimate reality outside the Vedic tradition, asked whether or not there even was a single ultimate reality. People also began speculating on the significance of the sacrificial tradition about exogamous system and for protection of the Brahminical order. Which one is the wrong? Which statement is wrong? You have to be the C. Where next question, where debates used to take place about the religious matters and issues. Kamsala, Rangsala, Kuta, Kutagarsala, or Dharmsala. Write the whether this statement is true or false. Very carefully listen to me. Mahavira and Buddha suggested an individual's existence was though thought to be determined by his or her birth in a specific caste or gender. This is the wrong or right? Next question. Deepvans and Mahavans refers to the island of Sumatra, Java, Indonesia, Sri Lanka. Next day, Makhali Goshala belong to which sect? Hinayana, Theravadi, Lokayata or Ajivika? Next question, what do you mean by hagiography? Next question, what is the meaning of the term Tirthankaras? Next question, which principle of Jainism has left has left its mark on Indian thinking as a whole? As a whole, first, to observe celibacy; second, to abstain from possessing property; third, stealing and lying; fourth, ahimsa. Now, students, time is about to over 30 minutes. We have the and the next day time you will sit for the next book two, medieval history. We shall or understand, and in medieval history, I warn you, we must be the regular and listen. It is the very difficult book because there are so many words are the very too difficult are the from medieval India. So that's why you must have to be the concentrate in this just coming your lectures. Thank you very much for attending the class.